Well, new figures from the music industry show that a record amount of money was spent on recorded music in the UK last year. Now, the Digital Entertainment and Retail Association says that the total £2.4 billion, that's about $3 billion, beat the previous record set in 2001. And that, of course, was when CD sales were at their peak. Well, streaming services are now driving sales, but vinyl sales have also continued to have a revival. Let's talk to Kim Bailey. He's the Chief Executive of the ERA, that's the Digital Entertainment and Retail Association. Kim, good to have you here. Just define this for us, first of all. What are we talking about when we say sales? It doesn't have to be physical goods, does it? It can be digital, online.
Absolutely. It's digital and physical and streaming all combined together. And that's a £2.4 billion market now, which is the highest level in over 20 years. So it's a real milestone moment, really, for the music industry to get back to rude health.
And do we have to sort of reconsider how we consider a sale here? Because, and I'll come on to this in a minute about who actually owns it when you're streaming or you've bought something digitally. But, you know, the way that the market has utterly transformed, and it had a really difficult few years, didn't it, while it tried to get its head around what the future looked like. Is your assessment that we're in a really healthy place for UK music right now?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the market grew by nearly 8% last year. That was on the back of growth last year and the year before. And so for 12 years now, we've consistently been seeing the music market improve, really thanks to those streaming services, which came into the market and monetized something that previously was illegal file sharing. So from my perspective, we're definitely in rude health, and 70% of that revenue is flowing back to the artists.
Yeah, and that, again, is quite a big shift, isn't it? And talk to me about the role of the music industry in terms of what the UK produces. It's a huge export, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of very few industries which is a net exporter of product in this country. And I think globally, UK artists are able to monetize their work through these streaming platforms far better than in the past, where you were relying on some physical distribution of their products. So it really is in good health.
Talk to me then about ownership. When we say we've bought music, who actually ever owns it when it's either streaming or digital? Because we were talking about this in the newsroom, that, you know, you go onto a playlist and suddenly something's disappeared because there's been some row over rights. If you don't physically hold it in your hand, what ownership do you really have?
You don't have ownership. Obviously, in the subscription world, both in music and in video, you are effectively subscribing to a service which gives you access to the product that's on that service at that time. And I think that's partly why we've seen the vinyl market grow so exponentially over the last 17 years, because actually fans of music want to own something physical as well. So they want to feel that even though they access that music on their Spotify or Amazon subscription, they can then look at the liner notes, look at the artwork and feel they've bought into that artist. Yeah,
it really does feel like that's had a revival, doesn't it? And talk to me then about the artists. You touched on it. You know, lots of disputes about whether they're being paid correctly for the work that they create. There's been a shift in that as well. More of that money's getting back to people who create this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from the services point of view, obviously they pass that 70% of what they bring in from the customer straight to the music industry. They're not involved in how that's divided up between particular artists. And obviously in the streaming world, an artist can monetize their product over a lot longer period. So, you know, you're not just dependent on day one sales of your CD or vinyl album. You will make that money for 20 years in smaller proportions.
Kim, really good to talk to you. Thanks so much. Kim Bailey there, Chief Executive of the Digital Entertainment and Retail Association.